Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today's video, we're going to talk getting started with Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and today we're going to take a look at the Slaves to Darkness, and in particular, the Ravagers subfaction of the army. In this video, we're going to go through, talk about the special rules the Ravagers subfaction gets in the Slaves to Darkness army, before looking at a couple of units we recommend to get started with for the army. We'll then take a look at some other units we can use to expand upon those couple of initial purchases, before finally finishing off the video with a little sample army list of 1,000 points for you to use as some inspiration for starting your own Ravagers army for the Slaves to Darkness in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. And so, the special rule we get for playing Ravagers is we get a cool heroic action called Rally the Tribes. We can perform this heroic action with any of our heroes instead of performing a normal heroic action. Now, we get to pick a friendly Chaos Marauder, Horseman, Cultist, or Dark Oath unit in the army that has been destroyed. If you do so, you put a new replacement unit with half the number of models in the unit rounding up, and it's added to your army, and you set that unit up wholly within 12 inch of the hero that used this heroic action and 9 inch away from enemy units. There are additional things where each destroyed unit can only be replaced once, and replacement units themselves cannot be replaced. So this is pretty cool. Straight away, it's giving us a large list of units we're probably going to want to include in the army. This really will help sort of set in what characters we're also taking with the army, as well as generally we're going to be wanting to get pieces in that will buff these particular types of units. So with that said, let's take a look at where to begin. And so, to get started with, the Dark Oath Chieftain for me is a fantastic place to start. Now, he's a pretty solid fighter. He can do some mortal wounds with his hits and stuff like that. And he's got his own Oath of Murder, where the first time he slays a enemy hero or monster from attacks allocated by him, once he fulfills the oath, he gets the Strike First effect to apply to him. He's then got Tribal War Leader, where after this unit has fought in the combat phase for the first time, you can pick a friendly Dark Oath unit that has not yet fought in the combat phase within 3 inch of an enemy unit and within 12 inch of him, and that unit can fight immediately. So this is pretty cool. If he can get to slay a monster or a hero, it's not going to be the easiest, but there are going to be targets, or, potentially getting him in there to attack last. He's going to be able to get strikes first for the rest of the game, and potentially pass on to some of your Dark Oath units. Now, to go along with this model, I want to talk about the Dark Oath Savages. Now, the Dark Oath Savages are one of the many different Warcry warbands that come into the army. Now, 1 wound each, 5 up save. Now, they've got a Slaughterborn for every 10 models in the unit, and that will get to add 1 to their attacks and damage characteristic, and then 2 in every 10 of your models are also proven, adding 1 to their damage of their weapons. The base weapons are 2 attacks, 4s, no rend, and damage 1, so you are turning up some nice damage on the unit as well. God Speaker as well is 1 in 10 models in the unit, and at the start of your hero phase, you roll a dice for each God Speaker in the unit. For each 6+, you receive a command point that can only be spent by the Slaughterborn from this unit to issue a command. Now, they've also got the Deathblow ability, where if your modified hit roll for an attack made with a Dark Oath weapon is a 6, that attack inflicts a mortal wound in addition to any other damage. So this is really cool because it doesn't negate, that +1 damage ability you're getting. And they've also got the Oath of Conquest, where if you gain control on an objective previously controlled by your opponent while this unit is contesting it, the unit fulfills its oath, and they'll get a 5-up ward in order for doing so. So this makes them pretty survivable. You're going to have, a pretty cheap unit with 5-up save, 5-up ward. They're going to be able to do some mortal wounds and potentially have always strikes first if you can get that monster or hero slay with a Dark Oath Chieftain. Generally, try and gun for, a nice little easy to kill wizard. Now, looking at where we can go next, a big favourite of mine for your Dark Oath units, keeping with that theme, is Thedra Skullscryer. Now, she is one of the Warhammer Underworld's Warbands characters, but I really like her as a wizard, keeping with theme in this. Now, she's also going to come along with the Godsworn Hunt, her particular Warhammer Underworld's Warband. Now, she is a 1 cast and 1 unbind wizard with 5 wounds, 5 up save, and she's got, 2 attacks at 3/3 run 1 damage D3 in combat. Now, her Oath of Arcane Hypothesis, if she ever rolls a 10+ unmodified to cast, she completes her conquest, and then she will get to cast 2 spells for the rest of the game. So if you can get that 10+ nice and early, she's going to be casting 2 spells, so you can get a pretty cheap dual caster here. Her spell Enfeeblement is pretty nice. You pick an enemy unit within 12 inch, it's got a casting value of 6, and the unit must also be visible to her. You subtract 1 from wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by that unit. Now, the Godsworn Hunt that comes along with her have the Oath of Conquest, which is exactly the same as the Oath of Conquest we talked about on the Dark Oath Savages. However, they've also got the Avowed Kinsman rule, where before you allocate a wound or mortal wound to Thedra Soulscryer, instead of making a ward roll for a wound or mortal wound to Thedra, if there's units within 3 inch, you can roll a dice. On a 1 to 2, Thedra takes the wound as normal. On a 3+, the wound or mortal wound is allocated to this unit instead. So, pretty cool stuff. They've also got 2 wounds apiece in that unit and 6+ save, which is pretty nice. This is going to give you, a decent amount of wounds to sort of be ablative wounds for her. And they do have some ranged attacks with a hunting bow, 2 attacks at force 4s, no rend damage 1, and even the ensorcelled javelins having 3s and 3s, rend 1 damage D3 as well. And you've also got a rend 1 damage 2 weapon with your great weapon from your unit as well. Now, looking into some of the Warcry warbands, there's a bunch of different Warcry warbands we can take within the army. And first of all, the Iron Golems are what I want to talk about. Their big thing is they get to add 1 to save rolls for attacks that target the unit if they've not made a normal move in the same turn. This is pretty cool because it does state normal moves. This means they can retreat and still get this, or they could charge and still get this, or they can, make any other non-normal move and still get this. So pile in as well. Now they've each got a bowler, so they've got 1 attack, force 4s, no rend damage 1 on an 8 inch range, and 2 attacks at force 4s, no rend damage 1 in melee. Nothing to write home about. You do get to add an Ogre Breacher for 1 in every 8 models, and you get to add 1 to the damage characteristic of that model's melee weapons, and they also have a wounds characteristic of 3+. You can add 1 to your bravery if you've got a signifier in there, and your Dominar will get to add 1 to their attacks. And in addition, they can issue commands to their own unit. So these guys make a fantastic objective holder unit. Another good unit for grabbing objectives is the Corvus Cabal. This unit has a special rule where you can set them up off the table, and then during the game they can come down and deploy 9 inch away from enemy units. Now, this unit also is not visible to enemy units while it's in cover, so you can drop down in cover, not be visible, and then go steal objectives. And in addition, if they attempt to charge while wholly within a terrain feature, they count as having fly as well. Now, the last unit I want to talk about are the Unmade. I think they have a really cool ability. A 12 inch aura around them, enemy units cannot receive redeploy or rally commands within them. Now, there's not too much to write home about besides that, but there is so many of these Warcry warbands. They've all got a nice little bit of unique tech you can bring to the table. And so here we have our sample army list. We've got our Dark Oath Chieftain, who is going to be our general. He's got the command trait Favourite of the Pantheon. This is pretty cool because this just allows him to roll on the Eye of the Gods at the beginning of the game. It's going to be really good and really helpful for getting him to potentially slay an enemy hero or character or monster. Now, we've then got Helm of the Oppressor. This stops enemy models within 6 inch of him that have a wounds characteristic of 1 or 2 being able to be used for for control of objectives. We then have Thedra Skullscryer. She's got the spell Binding Damnation, which is an Always Strikes Last spell. We then have Battle Line, 2 units of 20 Dark Oath Savages. This is going to be our big force. A unit of 8 Iron Golems there is going to be a good backfield objective holder. The Unmade are going to provide some nice support to our Savages. Meanwhile, the Corvus Cabal are going to be great late game objective grabbers. We've got the Godsworn Hunt in there as well. They're going to be hanging around Thedra as a nice little ablative wound lot. Now, the units are all wrapped up in a battle regiment, at least 5 of them are, as long as the 2 characters, so this does mean we are 3 drops. And then we've got the grand strategy, Take What's Theirs. This is going to allow us to try and have more units of ours in the enemy's territory. Potentially really cool to do with the Corvus Cabal. Now, 945 and 95 points means we are 5 points shy, so we do have a Triumph for Inspired, though, 5 points under, we're not always going to get it. Both are reinforced units are used, no allies. 91 wounds is a lot of wounds at this points value, and 3 drops. If you've got some ideas, if you've got some favourite Warhammer Underworlds or Warhammer Warcry warbands, Dark Oath models and Marauders and that you think would make a great use, or you've got some good ideas for in a Ravagers list, let us know down in the comments below. Well, that's the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also drop a comment down below letting us know what you thought about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our little community here at Sinful Gaming, you can do so by joining our Discord server, which is linked down in the video's description. Also linked down in the video's description the best ways to help support the channel. You can find links to both our Patreon and YouTube members in there who will get the ability to choose the focus of the channel, being able to request particular videos in our Getting Started series and start collecting series that you want to see. If you are a YouTube member as well, when we do live streams on YouTube, you also get access to a bunch of cool emojis in the chat. Now you can also go and grab some Sinful Gaming merch as well down in those videos descriptions for either from our Ko-fi or Teespring stores. As a last thing, a special shout out is something that all our Patreon and YouTube members get, so thank you to our Patreons: Christian Weir, Soren, Kenny Lowe, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Anthony B, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Derek Bloobs, Benjamin Suarez, Red Martin, and Aaron DeHaven. And to our YouTube members as well, thank you Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Ronya, Lockloric, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Ravenar, Pink Nico Fire, Robin Mankiller, Monty's Tabletop Terrain, John Castle, Davis Weir, James South. And lastly, a special thanks to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork you can see for the channel. Thank you once again for watching, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.